Assignment 26.3 Estimating VO2 max. So, according to Adams et al. In 2010, VO2 max is defined as the maximum amount of oxygen that can be taken in and utilized by the body during incremental exercise. VO2 max can be an indicator of someone's health. Kaminsky et al. In 2013 said that VO2 max is the strongest predictor of cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. This implies that there is a correlation between a person's VO2 max and their health. Health is also very important because obviously if people have a low VO2 max, from what Kaminsky said, there's a chance that they'll die younger and they will also have cardiovascular diseases. This was done. Kaminsky was an American researcher, and this was done on American participants. And he discovered that the lower the VO2 max, the higher chance there is of a person developing a respiratory disease. And it also gives a stronger indication that regular exercise should be done as well. For example, also the health and sport benefits. So, for example, a rugby player. Say there was a rugby player who had a VO2 max of around 45. This is roughly average for someone who would be in the scrum. This person would then be able to be positionally moved into the scrum. So, for example, say they were a centre, but they were struggling for breath in a lot of games and they weren't able to play the full 80 minutes. They could be moved positionally based on their VO2 max into the scrum. So they could be put in a flank position. There's a lot of running involved in that, but there is less, and it's more about their physical strength. And then this would then help them and boost their performance. However, there are a few other measures that would be taken, such as height and weight and power and strength, things like that, because they're also based upon the position. However, the VO2 max can add to this change for position. So there are a different number of tests that can be done as well. So the multi-stage fitness test can be done, and this can give an indication of a person's VO2 max by the level they obtained. So there was testing that was done, and one score was level 9 shuttle 2, and this gave a VO2 max score of 54. This was done by using an online calculator. However, there are manual calculations available. The online calculator is very simple. It's put the level in, put the shuttle in, gender, and then it gives you the VO2 max. Another test that can be done is the Queen's College Step Test. This is a submaximal test, whereas the multi-stage fitness test is maximal. So when it's submaximal, it's working at less than 180 beats per minute. And for the Queen's College Step Test, there's a 3-minute recording, and then there's a metronome. It's a different pace for men to women, and the metronome beats, and there's beep, 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 and as so on. And the participants have to step up and step down, both feet onto the stool, and both feet off, and then you take the 15-second resting heart rate. However, this will be more explained later on in the method section, but it's just another indication of a test that can be done. So a gold standard way of finding a person's VO2 max is by using a cycloergometer, and they would be wearing a mask that measures the amount of gas. So this is called gas analysis. The cycloergometer is the equipment that is used. The gas analysis mask is connected to a Douglas bag, and in this Douglas bag, and Merriam-Webster described the Douglas bag, as an inflatable bag used to collect expelled air from the determination of oxygen consumption and basal metabolic rate. So what the Douglas bag does is it effectively measures all the oxygen that is sucked in or inhaled, and all the carbon dioxide that is breathed out. So it's breathed in and breathed out, and from that you're able to identify a person's VO2 max from the amount of gas that is left in. However, this is called gas analysis. This is a very expensive method as it is only available in a few research facilities nationally. However, they are available in the majority of universities, but most people are unable to use them as they are not students. Buono et al. In 1996 conducted a study on a cycloergometer to predict participants' maximum oxygen intake, and the results concluded that the most important finding of the current study is that the 5-kilometer time cycle ride appears to provide a valid assessment of VO2 max. So this finding is based upon the fact that the correlation and standard error for the 5-kilometer cycle are similar in magnitude to the values for other field tests currently in use. So when this test was done, The results of it implied that the test is valid and able to be used. This is, however, using the cyclohygrometer used with the Douglas bag. Um, there is People are able to do the other methods. However, the cyclohygrometer is one of the gold standard methods for this fact that the results are valid and accurate and they're accepted globally, and also the values are very similar. For what they said, the values are similar to tests that are currently being done by other scientists as well. So moving on to the method section now. So the two tests that were conducted for the current study were the multi-stage fitness test and the Queen's College STEP test. However, before both of these tests were done, some pre-test measures need to be conducted, and these are to ensure that participants are physically able and willing to participate in the study, and that they'd also be able to finish the study without becoming injured or causing themselves any physical harm. So there are a few different documents that need to be filled out. So these are a PARQ and a consent form, and there also needs to be a risk assessment filled out as well. So these documents need to be done because they're a legal requirement. These are set out by the HSE, and the HSE is the Health and Safety Executive, for the UK, and they're the national governing body that oversee any form of medical testing, any sort of studies that are being done that involve participants, and these are really important documents because a consent form and a PARQ and a risk assessment always need to be done, and that's why they're so important. But a consent form is important because it shows that the participants have willingly signed themselves to this study. It's not like they're going to be signed and they're going to be injected with needles and poked and prodded, but they're reading what's going on with the test. They're reading the protocols and all of the methods, and they're looking at the consent form saying, do I want to commit to this? If I don't, it's okay. There's always you're able to back out of the study. However, once you've signed it, sometimes there is a clause saying you aren't able to because you've been told the full information, but it shows that you've given your consent to be involved in the study and that you're willing and able to participate in it. And that leads me on to the PARQ. So the PARQ is the Physical Activity Readiness Questionnaire, and this is filled out in the majority of places. So it's filled out in gyms, it's filled out in sports clubs, but it's most common in medical testing and sports science testing. And this is because it allows the researchers to get an insight into the physical readiness of the participants that they're taking on. So for example, for the testing that was conducted in the current study, the participants ranged between 17 to 18, and they were mixed gender. So there wouldn't be many alarm bells for participants in this situation, as not all of the participants should be of a healthy weight. But if there were participants that were considered to be obese or overweight, then the research would have to take that into consideration when going through their PARQ. The PARQ would consist of questions such as their exercise levels, if there's any history of heart or cardiovascular or respiratory issues in their family, if they've got diabetes, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, anything like that, because of the tests that were being done. So the multi-stage fitness test, which is maximal, and the Queen's College STEP test, which is submaximal. Because of the maximal part of the multi-stage fitness test, the researchers would need to ensure that their participants would remain safe throughout the duration of the testing. If the participants gave an answer saying that they had diabetes and there is a history of cardiovascular disease in their family, the researcher is entitled to turn around and say, no, I do not want you to participate in my study. I'm very sorry, there is too much of a risk. And this would be this is accepted because it's research. As soon as the study starts, all of the participants of the researcher's responsibility. So they wouldn't want to take on a person that they think there could be a larger risk to. So now looking at the tests that were completed. So the first test that was completed was the Queen's College STEP test, and then the second one was the multi-stage fitness test. So the top flowchart is the protocol for the Queen's College STEP test. So first of all, you need to get steps that are 42 centimeters high. We used step up boards with stacks, and they took measuring to get to. However, there are alternatives such as chairs, tables, or benches. but it needs to be 42 centimeters high, otherwise it would be invalid. If they were lower than the 42 centimeters and weren't measured properly, it would impact the test because the participants wouldn't be having to step up as high. So the element of fatigue would be, there wouldn't be as a large element of fatigue, sorry. So the participants may have a lower heart rate towards the end of it, and this would impact the results. Next, you need to have the audio recording and a speaker. The only reason you would need a speaker is that if you have a large group of participants, not everyone may be able to hear it, and also it's just clearer for everyone so that they understand the rhythm, and they need to make sure that they step up and step down on the beats. If they're not in time with the beats, again, the results are not exactly valid. Also, before, the participants can be allowed to practice the rhythm for like a minute, maximum a minute, 10 to 30 seconds, so they understand the rhythm of the beat, and they know how fast they need to step up and step down. Then after that, you start the test. The test is 3 minutes long, and you need to be watching the participants and ensuring that they're stepping up on the right beat and stepping down on the right beat. Then afterwards, you get the participants to sit on the step that they were just stepping on, and then take their pulse for 15 seconds after the test is finished. From this, you write down all of the results, and then a calculation is made to identify the participants' VO2 max. It is important that you give the participants at least 5 to 10 seconds to find their pulse, as some people have faint pulses, or they aren't able to find their pulses quickly. But yeah, 5 to 10 seconds is adequate time for them. So the second test, as previously stated, was the multi-stage fitness or the bleep test. This needs to be done either indoors or outdoors. It will mostly be done indoors because of the weather sometimes is not always the best, and it's safer to do it indoors as you're able to control many different extraneous variables. An extraneous variable is something that impacts the test that's out of your control. So for example, if there's high wind, that could impact the participants if they're having to run into the wind. So first of all, find the appropriate space, so either indoor or outdoor. In this study, the test was done indoors. Then you measure out a 20-meter line from one point to another and put cones out. This is so the participants know where they're running to. You have an audio recording and a speaker. It's important to have a speaker for this one, because if you're doing it with a large number of participants, say 15 or more, and they're spread out along a wide line, the participants furthest down may not be able to hear it. You then begin the test and play the recording, and then you have to monitor the line and ensure that the participants are reaching the line before each beep. If the participants do not reach the line before the beep, they will receive a warning, and then if they do it again at any time during the test, they will be out. So for example, if the participant missed the line on level 4, shuttle 2, they would receive their first warning. And then say they didn't miss it again until level 9, shuttle 2, they would then be out because they've already received their previous warning. It's important that this warning is given so that the participants know they can't do it again, otherwise they're out. If they weren't given a warning, and then they missed it on shuttle 9, level 9.2, sorry, and then didn't get it again until level 10, it wouldn't be an accurate reflection because they should have actually gone out previously.